All right, so these are the boxes for Allegro Moderato. So the first box that we have is in measure 18. We're going to change one fingering from the printed edition. So instead of doing the extended one, we're just going to shift to a C in first position. We're going to shift to the second finger. So it'll be 2, 2. Okay. So replace the extended one with a shift to a second finger. Okay. So just measure 18 is one measure or one box. The next box is just measure 19. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to replace the extended one with a shift to 2. And then an important thing to know in this piece, the quarter notes are a little bit separate. So if we look at like the beginning, right, instead of, so we want a little bit of separation, and this helps us on our shifts. So in measure 19, this box, right, it shouldn't be connected, but a little bit of space. Okay. The next box, similar thing in measure, so it's the measure 24, measure 25, and the downbeat of measure 26. Okay, so it's okay. So a little bit of separation with our quarter notes. The mordant is just 1, 2, 1, right? So C sharp to D back to C sharp. One more time. Okay. The next box starts on the very next note, so the second beat of 26 through all of 27. So I think of this as kind of bells, so separation still. And then we just have one shift, so there's an extension between the D and the F sharp, and then this harmonic, and then back down. Okay. So this is just practicing getting in and out of that, and then making sure those are really full bows and nice and ringy. Okay. The next one, it starts at measure 30. We want to make sure we start this in the middle of the bow, okay? Because it's kind of the bow pattern. So okay, so it's nice and connected. But we need to make sure we start kind of in the middle. If we start in too far this way, we get stuck and the tone isn't as good. Okay. All right. The next box has a box inside of it as well. So the big box starts at measure 40 and goes until the half note. That's an E in measure 42. So just before the tied Ds. And then the smaller one starts where the eighth notes start in measure 41. And it's just those 5 notes. Kind of ends at the same spot. So the big box is this. Set. Okay, so make sure we set before we hit those 8 notes. So you're going to go 1, 2, set. Okay, and then the small box is just right there. And you're going to set. Okay, and it's just as it's printed there as far as fingering. Okay, the next box we're going to start in the hooked Ds at measure 4765. Picks up into 47 or 46 basically. So just okay, it's just that much. So pick up into 46 all the way through 49. Okay, and a really helpful thing for this is to have like the piano accompaniment or know exactly what that sounds like when you're doing this, because it's more reliable to know how your part fits in and where you come in as opposed to just counting it, right? So the piano part actually does exactly what comes next in our part when we have those 4 measures. So if you look, the measures 50 through 53 are like an almost exact copy of what the piano does. So it does. So instead of just holding the F sharp, it actually does a scale down. So I like to tell students to listen for it goes up and up and up and up, and then it goes down. Right? When it goes down, that's kind of your cue that you're about to come in. right? So if we listen again, it goes up. And then it goes down. And that's where we fit in, right? So as soon as it goes ba-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum, right? So I would practice this and go okay, and then I would come in. A really important thing about this is that we're going up, and we have to go ba-da-da-da-da. So ba-da-da-da set. So we're not actually going to be playing on the tied in 8th note. That's a D in measure 49. That's when we're going to set our bow. Set. And then we go up again, so it's a hook bow. Set. Okay. Just like it's printed. But if we don't set where that tied D is on that group of 8th notes, then the C won't be clear, right? We won't get a clear articulation for that. Okay. All right, so the next box, this should be box 8, is right at measure 50. So just this. Okay. Make sure we have a nice round tunnel so we get a clear sound there. Okay. The next box is at measure 54. Right, just practicing that shift just as it's printed. Next box is 55. A lot of students want to shift here. They're just extensions, so it should be one shift. A good way to practice this is to just hit that interval. All right, if you can play both of those in tune, then you can play those notes. Okay. Next box is the following measure, so 56. Okay, just as it's printed, we have extensions, and then shift to first. And then 58 is the next one. We're going to change one fingering in this one too. So rather than doing the extended one, we're going to shift to 2. Just like that. And then 59 is also a box by itself. Okay, so we're going to just do it as it's printed. Make sure we shift on the D. Okay, and get that extension. And then the last one is just the last 2 measures. Okay, so we can shift up to a G. We have a whole step here and then a half step. So half step between 1 and 2 and a whole step between 2 and 3. Okay. The mordant is just a 1 to 2. And the third finger is actually our A harmonic. So if we need to check that we're in the right spot, we can use that. I wouldn't recommend using it in the piece though. Okay. And those are our boxes for Allegro Moderato. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Bye.